And welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast with Bailey Policki and Jacob Liberta. You can find all our videos here on our channel, and feel free to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram as well. We haven't talked about the Minnesota Twins for a little while, but they made some moves here at the trade deadline, trading away Nelson Cruz and Jose Barrios, two of our best players, getting a haul of prospects in return, and this is kind of what Twins fans were wanting, honestly. Maybe not necessarily trading Barrios, but with the season just out of question at this point, they're not making the playoffs for sure. It was best for the Twins to just trade off some of their pieces, especially guys that probably weren't going to be here long term anyways, and get a haul back for them and kind of start the rebuilding or retooling process early. So what are your thoughts on the two major trades that happened over the last week?
Yeah, this was just something that had to happen. It was inevitable. Like you said, it's a lost season. We got to the trade deadline. We certainly were far out of contention. So it was time to make some hard moves, just some kind of painful things you never thought you'd get to.
Right.
It's just the nature of the business, nature of the game. But once we got to that point and there's no turning back, then Cruz was the first one to go, and that made sense because he probably provides the most immediate value, in my opinion, of anybody that was on this team this year.
Yep.
So I'm not surprised to see him go first, especially to a team like the Rays, American League team, not in our division, and then they needed a DH. Just felt like it was a good fit there.
For sure.
And especially for the return we got, what the Rays were willing to give up with Joe Ryan and Drew Strotman, like that was a good return. So I could see why we jumped on that deal, even though Cruz is a fan favorite. But like you said, it had to happen because he's on an expiring contract, and we don't really know if he has a future with the Twins, especially being 41 years old. So I think this had to happen. I don't know. What do you think of that first deal with Cruz?
Yeah, I was happy that the team that he went to was the Tampa Bay Rays. Out of anybody in the AL, I would choose Tampa Bay or maybe even Oakland, where I'd want Nelson Cruz to go. I think that'd be a great place for him to go and chase a championship. He's already hit a few home runs for them. He's been doing fairly well. So, and just to get good pitching prospects in return for that is huge. I mean, Joe Ryan's number 8 in our top 30 prospects. Strotman's number 15. All the guys we got are in our top 15. So that's huge for us. I mean, we already had a decent stockpile of prospects sitting down in Double and Triple A. Well, the good news is all these prospects we got in return are basically Triple A guys that we could see maybe even the end of this year or as early as next year. So just getting this haul back for Nelson Cruz and Jose Barrios is massive, I think. And in the blink of an eye, granted, not all these pitchers are probably going to turn out, but in the blink of an eye, you could have at least 2 or 3 really solid starting pitching options. And maybe if one of these guys isn't a starter, maybe they can convert him to a bullpen role or something else. It seems like all these guys throw fairly hard. So they got options with all these different pitchers, and I'm excited to see where it goes for sure. I think it breathes a little bit of new life into this Twins team.
Absolutely. I think I totally agree with you there. I think this really replenishes our farm system with pitching. I know we had a lot of good guys that could add to our lineup and as far as hitters go, but I think as pitching, it's always been a struggle under whatever regime we've had as far as we go back to the Twins here in our fandom. But I think this is huge to get guys like, for instance, we're talking right now about Joe Ryan and Drew Strotman, and then a little bit we'll talk about Simeon Woods Richardson. But I think these guys are just quality arms. Like you said, these guys are pretty close to MLB ready. Maybe not quite yet. They need a little bit of fine tuning, but I mean, they're close. So if you want to actually make a run, even as soon as 2022, maybe that might be pushing a little bit, but especially 2023 feels more realistic than like a 5-year full rebuild.
True.
So that's what's nice. And like, think about what these guys, as far as stuff and just the evaluation these players were getting, and Joe Ryan, Drew Strotman. I mean, Joe Ryan is a quality arm. Obviously, he's the better prospect. He's in our top 10. And this guy just has a really nice fastball because they said it gets up to probably about mid-90s or something. And then the thing is, he strikes out a lot of guys, and like 200, I want to say it's 209 career innings in the minor leagues. He struck out like 317 guys, which
it's pretty impressive.
That's incredible. That's ridiculous. And I always love getting strikeout pitchers because that's how you win, especially when you're a good team and you're getting deep in the playoffs. You have strikeout pitchers, and then got a guy like Drew Strotman. He's another quality arm, albeit a little bit farther down in our prospect rankings, but another guy that's ready to go. He is having a pretty good season. The only issue he's having right now is he's got a lot of walks, but they said he's got a nice repertoire, especially a nice slider that they think could develop. Assuming we have good coaching to really bring it to fruition. That's a big part. That's the key point here. But this guy can certainly pitch very well too. But I don't know. Do you have anything else to add on that Nelson Cruz trade?
Not a whole lot, honestly. Like you said, I'm just kind of excited to see where these guys take us. Joe Ryan pitched for Team USA in the Olympics, which was awesome, and he did fairly well there. So
and so did Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yeah, so
he's on the team too.
We'll get into that Jose Barrios trade now. We got Austin Martin, who is our number 2 prospect behind Royce Lewis.
That's amazing.
And they're both shortstop/outfielders, which provides us major flexibility, especially if we end up moving on from Byron Buxton, or if you just simply can't rely on him staying healthy, which we can't. So maybe one of these guys can be a center fielder. The other one can be a shortstop. Yeah. Maybe they both can be middle infielders. I'm super excited about getting Austin Martin. He's one of the best prospects in all of baseball. So getting a guy like that is huge. Obviously, like, it's nice to get the pitching help as well, but to get a really solid bat in return is just exactly what the Twins needed. And then getting that Simeon Woods Richardson, he's one of our top prospects as well, number 3 overall. So getting number 2 and 3 overall in your system just from Jose Barrios, a guy that was going to test free agency regardless, was probably going to leave because someone else was going to give him the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was an absolute haul of a trade, and this was an A-plus trade for the Twins, I think. Yes. Obviously, the Blue Jays are trying to go for it now, which I don't blame them. But to get 2 of their best prospects, that's just an incredible move. So I'm really, really happy about that trade. How about you?
Yes, couldn't agree more. I think a lot of baseball experts were a big fan of the return the Twins got for Jose Barrios. They kind of thought it was a pretty steep price, especially when you compare it to other moves that happened on the same day. Like, for instance, Max Scherzer and Trey Turner going to the Dodgers, and what they returned, basically kind of the same haul. And we traded one guy in Barrios. They traded a Cy Young and Scherzer and an all-star shortstop and Trey Turner. So that's kind of nice that we really reap the rewards of trading Barrios. I mean, honestly, it was a little bit hard for me as a fan to give up on Barrios because, I mean, he's been around here for 6 years. He's been a steady guy, and I don't think he's quite reached a level that we ever thought he would.
He has been our best pitcher, though.
But he has been. And you could count on him. The dude never missed starts. He never went on the injury list. And you know what? I really respect him for that. So he was always available. So that's
nice. Fair. That's a good point.
That was nice. But as far as the guys we got back, getting Austin Martin in the fold, I'm really excited. Like I said, he immediately becomes our number 2 prospect. He's number 15 in all baseball. The only problem I have with him is they said he's like defensively he might be a little bit challenged because they said he's got a weaker arm, played third at Vandy, but they said he had some throwing issues, so they project him more once he gets to the big leagues like a second baseman or a center fielder. So I mean, let's hope we can find a spot for him. I'm sure we can, especially when he's a good hitter. He's a good contact hitter, but I think the Twins can unlock some more potential in him because they said he doesn't use his legs enough right now.
Okay.
I think they could really up his slugging percentage, which his OPS is already north of 800. So I mean, this guy can play. And when you talk about like Woods Richardson, I'm really excited about him too because I said he's legitimately a 4-pitch guy, which you really don't find that many of those anymore. And they said he could add a 5th if he can develop a cutter. So the thing is, he doesn't have like one overpowering pitch, but his go-to might honestly just be the fact you won't be able to know what's coming, and he'll just be able to mix it up and honestly provide just some, I don't know, I guess stability because he also throws a ton of strikes. He doesn't walk a lot of guys until like his most recent appearances here this last month or something. He's kind of going through a rough stretch, but like in his career, he's a strike thrower and he doesn't walk many guys, so I'm pretty pumped about that too.
Yeah, I think like we said, the Twins got an absolute haul for these guys, and just getting young, promising players to already add to guys like Royce Lewis. We got Kirilloff and Larnach that have been up this year. And then you have Jordan Balazovic, Yohan Duran that we have down in our system as well. Yes. Those guys could possibly be ready to go by next season. So it's really exciting for the Twins. And they were even able to manage to somehow trade Jay Happ to the Cardinals for John Gant, who's a bullpen pitcher, correct?
Yep. He's honestly not atrocious. Like, he's actually decent.
Middle-of-the-road bullpen guy, which is incredible considering how horrible Jay Happ is.
And how horrible our bullpen is.
We were also able to trade Hansel Robles to Boston for another relief pitcher. So
both in Double-A. So, I mean, like we got something back for guys I didn't really think we'd be able to trade. To be quite honest with you.
So, that's fantastic. You know, you thought these guys would maybe just get maybe trade for cash considerations, or Happ I didn't even think was tradable. So to be able to get anything for these guys is kind of incredible. So overall, I'd say the Twins had a pretty good trade deadline.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think Jay Happ is just a thief in the night because this guy has made a living off of just being left-handed. Like he's feasting all these teams that want him. He's literally left-handed. Like he doesn't do anything special, especially these days. I mean, can you believe some teams trade for a guy that has a 6.77 ERA this year?
Can't.
And
I really can't.
He was over 9 ERA in the last month before they traded for him. Like that doesn't make any sense. So like I don't really care what we got back. I mean, I'm all for trading them. And then like Hansel Robles, he was a little bit better, but he's definitely had a rough month too. So I'm kind of surprised we're able to trade him as well. But because I kind of thought they'd fall more in like Andrelton Simmons been, where we weren't able to actually move them because they just didn't have any value right now for a contending team to really want them. So I guess it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, and so we'll have to keep an eye on what's going to happen in the offseason too, because there were some rumors swirling as the trade deadline was approaching about Byron Buxton possibly getting moved. Michael Pineda was in some trade talks. I know there had been rumors about Max Kepler as well. So there will be some guys to keep an eye on as we go into the offseason here. But
absolutely, I'm thankful Buxton is still here. I was really worried because I honestly didn't think he was going to get traded until he got it to about 2 hours and less towards the deadline. And there was a bunch of steam picking up. I was like, no, we can still build around this guy. This guy's still young enough to be the focal point of this franchise. So
and it's really going to come down to whether or not they can agree on a contract extension at some point in the offseason. So
exactly. There is that too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I agree with you. Even though he's hurt a lot, he's so talented. You'd hate to see him go elsewhere and
you can't replace him.
Be a great player for another team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to like our videos and hit that subscribe button as well. And leave a comment below about how you feel about the Twins trade deadline and if there's any other moves you'd maybe like to see them make or how you feel about the haul they got back with the prospects. So follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well, and thanks for watching.